It's pickup day at the state surplus auction. I'm here to get this. It's a 2017 Ford Taurus Police Interceptor. Bought this about 2 weeks ago. This grassy area, all this, and the fenced-in lot, this was packed with cars. There was about 100 cars here that they were selling off, and you can still see the stains on the grass from where all the cars were. There was packed too deep. This auction is about the most user-friendly government auction I've ever been to. I've bought maybe 24 cars through different auctions, through different agencies, and I keep coming back here to this one because of how generous they are in so many ways. And I'm going to explain to you exactly why that is and some of the backroom processes at this auction and how this auction works. But before we get there, let's take a look at this Taurus, because when I was inspecting the cars here, this Taurus did not have the keys. They didn't have the title either, and it was a big chance. You couldn't get in it, you couldn't start it, you had no idea what to expect with this car. There was a twin to this Taurus that you could get in, you could start and inspect and go through. And so I bid and I took a chance on this car based on the condition of that twin, the second Taurus. So I had already gotten the keys, the title, the paperwork, the service history on this car. I'd picked that up about a week ago or so. This is my first look inside this car, my first startup. So far, I'm liking what I'm seeing. It's pretty clean. The steering wheel is like a rubberized guy here, which is way nicer and way softer feeling than the steering wheel in the Caprice PPV. Nowhere near as nice, though, as the leather-wrapped steering wheel in the Dodge Charger Pursuit. The auction photos of this car showed a cage back here, so I'm surprised to see it out. It was actually pretty clean. Look how hard this thing is. I mean, there's no give, no compression at all. I mean, I don't think it's ever been sat in. Most likely they just put it in storage, and then when they went to sell the car, they put it back in. Got a ticket light. Oh, it works. Nice. I like it. Back here, this is where the cage would rub against the seat. You can see some markings down here as well. And there's evidence of the cage being up here and dirty fingers. I'm actually a little disappointed the cage is taken out of it because my kids, man, one day last week, they were just nuts. I would have loved to drop them back in here. Holy cow, it's huge. I see some bracing. I don't know if that's a police interceptor item, if that's usually covered up on the regular Tauruses. Pretty clean and tidy. On the passenger side, inside, in the glove compartment, we've got, looks like some manuals, some papers, some bolts and bracketry. Is that for the fuel filler? And, I don't know, some wiring. I tell you what, overall, I'm pleased so far with this car. I paid $61.50 for it, and that's my all-in price. There's no buyer fees, there's no additional cost or fees tied to buying a car here, other than, say, that license plate, that paper license plate, temporary tag that give me 60 days of driving time. That costs $20. And I had to mail a check into the auction house so they can process my payment and get me my receipt so I can come out here and pick up the car. And that buyer fee, that 0% buyer fee, is a big deal. I've seen buyer fees as high as 12.5% at some other auctions, and that adds hundreds of dollars to the purchase price of these cars. So if you can get a zero buyer fee, I mean, it matters. It makes a big difference. It also allows you to bid a little higher at the same time. Now, the way this particular auction works is that they have a one-day inspection period. It's about a 4-hour block. It's usually on a Wednesday, and you can go through the cars. They have the keys. You can start them up. You can engage the transmission. You can move the steering back and forth, see if the power steering works. You can feel the brakes. You cannot drive the car, but you can go through the electronics, you can try the air conditioning, you can plug in an OBD code reader, and you can get a very good sense of the condition of the car through this inspection period. However, if you miss that 4-hour window of coming out here and looking at these cars, you missed your entire opportunity to check them out. You get a second chance. You don't get another time slot to come out. It's one and done, and if you miss it, you're SOL at that point. Now, regardless if you come out here and do an inspection, if you want to bid on a car, you have to register. And it's just like any other government auction website. GovDeals, for instance, Purple Wave, Public Surplus. You all have to register. US Gov Bids, who the state of Delaware uses, they started charging $100 to register for a car. But once you get your bidder number, you're free to do whatever you want. Now, the way these cars work is that the inspection period is a Wednesday. The bidding ends Thursday at 7. But 7 p.m. is for the very first car in the lot series. For instance, this car was in the 500 series. That means car 500 sells, and the auction closes at 7 p.m. Each car thereafter sells 2 minutes later. You cannot snipe in this auction, meaning that if you try to throw a bid in there, the final 10 seconds of the auction for this car, for instance, the countdown timer will reset and add 2 more minutes. So you could have, theoretically, multiple cars closing at the same time, depending if people are sniping or not. And once that auction ends and you're the high bidder, the following day you'll get an email with an invoice from the auction house saying that you have 24 hours to make payment. You have 3 methods to pay. You have a cashier's check, a money order. You can also do a wire transfer. If you choose a wire transfer, there is a $30 processing fee. My bank adds an additional $30 on top of that wire transfer, $60 in total. And what I've learned to do since then is get a certified check from my bank, overnight that through the U.S. Post Office, $10 for the certified check, $8 for overnight mailing. And once that payment gets processed, you'll get a second email saying that you're paid in full. And at that point, you schedule a time and date to go pick up your car and your keys and paperwork and title. And that leads me to another reason what makes this auction so great. You see, I'm almost 2 weeks out from the time I won the car to the time I'm picking it up. And they're very easy to work with here. I scheduled a time to come out and pick up the keys and my title and my paperwork, but they weren't really concerned with when I was going to get the car, simply because it was outside the gate. Nobody needed to be here physically. So it's a Sunday. Right now it's Sunday at 4 o'clock, and I'm here getting the car. Nobody else is out here. The auction lot is empty. The place is deserted, and they don't care. There's been another instance where it took me a month to come out here and get the car. I explained it to them over the phone why I couldn't get there on time, why I couldn't get the car any sooner. They were perfectly okay with that. Other places will charge you a $10 fee per day until you get this car. They give you like a 5 or maybe a 7-day grace period to get the car, and anything after that, they start charging you. So another really great feature about this auction, license plates. For 20 bucks, I get a temporary license plate, gives me 60 days of driving time, and it's one of the perks that you get here that I've never gotten at any other auction. Nice. Honestly, it took me a moment to find out where the key goes. I didn't know what the mileage was when I bought the car. 88,000. I'm thrilled to see that. Honestly thrilled. Let's go through power steering works. Very nice. Let's go through the info screen and see what we have here. It's nice that I got a half a tank of gas. I like that. Digital speedometer. I've never been in a Taurus before, so this is my first time going through all this. Oh, engine hours. What? 8,000? Oh, all right, that's engine. Woo! I feel so much better. All right, 2,200. That's fair. Usually I'm seeing in the 4,000 to 5,000 range. The lowest I've seen is a few hundred. So I guess that's right in the middle. Let's see if we can get the AC working, because it is hot. Max. Let's engage the transmission. Went in smooth. Oh, the brakes are rough. Let's try reverse. Oh, look, I got a little backup camera. I tell you what, I am pleasantly pleased about what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling and just the whole car overall. $6,150 seems like a pretty nice price. I wasn't sure what to expect. I'm relieved about the engine versus idle hours. I was like sweating bullets there for a minute. Why don't we drive around the lot and just see what it feels like. Tell you what, so far it feels fine. Everything engages smoothly. It's been running for maybe 10 minutes now. The temp's fine. The AC is blowing cold. The ride is rough. Not as terrible as some of the other cars. I've got a Dodge Charger Pursuit that is horrendous on ride quality. This is a little nicer. The steering is light. The brakes are strong. They're a little gritty. It's been sitting for a while, something you would expect. No weird noises, no clunks or bangs or clangs or anything. Pretty good. I'm happy. I will say that even though I've bought maybe 24 cars at this auction, I continue to forget to bring like Windex, and a scraper to get all this stuff off the windshield. It figures that the only gas station in town doesn't have a wash bucket for your windshield. Seatbelts on for safety. I tell you what, merging onto the highway, it's fairly powerful. It's the non-turbo. It's under like 300 horse. This can't compete with like the V8s and the Chargers and the Caprice Pursuits vehicles. But holds its own. 300's respectable, and it feels good on the highway. There's no weird noises. The brakes cleaned up nice. They're strong. I'm really happy with this so far. That was a nice drive. That was about 20 miles for me, and the car did fantastic. It was no shimmies, no shakes, no weird vibrations, no sounds. The C-pillar is huge. Looking out the back, trying to see behind you and lane change and stuff like that, the C-pillar's massive. The backup camera is comical. Sitting in the rearview mirror like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's good for. Otherwise, this has been, so far, it's been a pretty good car. There's lots of maintenance that I need to do. For instance, that power transfer unit, I'm told the oil change in that has to happen. I can't wait to clean this up and detail it. I mean, that's what I enjoy doing anyway. But otherwise, I'm really pleased with this. Thank you so much for joining me on the auction. I hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed sharing it with you, and I will see you next time.